state offices closed because of unpaid rentals.
It's a government operation.
Madang calms down as authorities work on restoring water supply. And Deputy Prime Minister says investments crucial to progress.
This is the National EMTV News with Meribah Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. The Office of the National Identification in Port Moresby remains closed due to non-payment of rentals. Close to 200 people who turned up to check on the progress of their NID cards this morning were left frustrated. Most of them have been waiting for their NID cards to be processed since 2016.
A crowd of frustrated individuals gathered outside the gates to the NID office this morning. This is the usual sight every Tuesdays and Thursdays when hundreds of people come here to check on the progress of their NID cards. But this morning there was a different reason to be frustrated. The NID office was closed because of non-rental issues. The office has been closed since last Friday.
Although management change, we have not seen any changes yet. And with this problem now with the closure of the building for non-payment of account, it's a government operation.
Some applicants have been coming here every week just to be told to return the next week. Most times the applicants are told the delay in processing their NID cards is because of administrative issues.
In the real no pay travel system go them samlola mikol hagen to no gena mikam lay to no go must begin mikal must be no ablo anema me stop 1 year me stop here so triple people give me all stop so now me will follow it so me no picking no respond me no harim.
Stephen Wani had come to Port Moresby to process NID cards for his wife and 5 children. Wani says the long delay has affected the processing of his family's travel documents, and he did not expect to stay in the city for almost a year.
So mi blago la all salim mi blagam pekna blagam lay again am nogat now na mi blag some time na we gonna now.
Beteli Tali, another applicant, says her applications were lodged in 2016 and she is still waiting.
4 times I've been coming every week and they are giving notices on the board. If you come last week, you'll come back next week. And it's really, some of us, we don't work, we are unemployed and it's very hard on bus fares and all that. We are staying with one talks and it's really no good because through the NID you have to open your accounts and you go through overseas. And
the NID system was rolled out in 2015 aimed at collecting data from Papua New Guineans, which will be used as a nationwide database. 3 years after the rollout and more complaints are surfacing on the delay in processing those ID cards.
Papua New Guinea government introducing NID. Na miplawok lo come na every day miplakam or some like this crowd come lo pick up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Miplakam every day since 2015. Nothing happened. Now, you think that's 2015, that's too long for us. We spend bus pay, they come as far as 9 Mile, Gerehu.
Authorities heading the process of NID cards have been contacted and are expected to make a response to this. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
4 government offices in Port Moresby have been affected because of unpaid rentals as well. They include the Public Curator's Office, the PNG Investigation Commission, and the Office of the Provincial and Local Level Government. These government offices occupy buildings owned by the TST group of companies and managed by Budget Real Estate. It is estimated that the outstanding rentals value over 1 million kina. The landlord locked the main doors to these buildings last Friday. A series of questions regarding foreign doctors' accreditation, district hospitals and shortage of medicine were brought to the attention of Health Minister Sepuka Temu in Parliament today. Wabeg MP Dr. Lino Tom began question time by asking the Health Minister on when the PNG Medical Board will have a proper accreditation examination for foreign doctors. This came about after several cases of malpractice by doctors were brought to his attention.
Growing consensus among the medical fraternity of the level of and the quality of foreign doctors who are actually working in this country.
Health Minister Sepu Katemu responded to the issues of foreign doctors' accreditation, saying a review has been done.
The Honourable Member is absolutely right for firstly to review the Medical Registration Act, which is already in the final stages, and I will bring it to the floor.
Two other members of parliament questioned the health minister on hospital and medicine issues in the country.
My good minister, do you have a plan to assist this major health center to upgrade from level 3 to level 4 to cater for the 80,000 population of Kaka Island?
We passed the budget and 50 million is earmarked for district hospitals for this year, and it will be an ongoing program for the term of this Honourable Parliament. And so first thing I will do immediately, Deputy Speaker, is I will get my standard officers to visit the health center immediately, and they will put a report to me to make sure that we immediately are upgraded to a level 4 hospital.
Meanwhile, on the issue of medicine not reaching hospitals in Ijivitari district, the health minister explained they had not granted logistic contracts before the medicine arrived, causing the delay.
My question is that since then, our district hospital and our provincial hospital in Poponeda have yet to receive any of those medical supplies. And can the minister assure us or give us a status of where these supplies are now so that we can be able to advise our hospitals?
The shipments, and I think this is one of the problems now, there is no direct shipment from Mosby to Popondetta. They have to go to Ley. And so the supplies are right now sitting in Ley. There must be enough drugs in every facility that should last for 6 months, and enough in the area medical stores for 6 months supply to the country. We now got the funds. We thank you to the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister. We got enough funds to deliver the right amount of supplies in the country.
Adelaide Xerox Kari, National, MTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says an independent commission of inquiry will be set up into the PNG Sustainable Development Funds to find out what had happened to funds that should have been used for mitigation. Mr. O'Neill also said the government will sue previous owners of Octedi, BHP, for environmental damages its operations caused. The Prime Minister was responding to Northfly MP James Donald's question on what the government is doing to clean up biochemical waste from the Octedi mine.
The Southfly electorate, as the worst mining pollution impacts over 34 years. Continuing.
A question in Parliament by Southfly MP Seki Agisa on what the government's plans were to clean biochemical waste from the Octedi mine triggered a response by the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, voicing his intention for an independent commission of inquiry to be set up to investigate the funds from the PNG Sustainable Development Fund that was supposed to be used for landowners' compensation.
Will it keep on dumping waste and have a negative impact on the lives of our people? And die slowly from the effects from the Octedi and Pogera?
Speaker, I think there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, and a lot of our people who have taken those decisions need to answer those questions. So within the next few weeks, Mr. Speaker, I will be announcing an independent Royal Commission of Inquiry to start from the day when the Octedi mine started to the day when, of course, we took over, and the issues around the establishment of PNG Sustainable Development Program.
The Prime Minister said the issue of the PNG SDF was before the courts in Singapore.
Now, PNG Sustainable Development Program is now subject of a court case in Singapore between the state and the directors of PNG Sustainable Development Program, who have virtually hijacked and taken over the entire project.
The Prime Minister said the government will look into ways to sue BHP, the previous owner of Octedi, for environmental damage.
So that PNG government itself takes out the court case against BHP, Mr. Speaker. We have to sue this company for the substantial environmental damage that they have caused to our people.
Semekere interrupted with a point of order, saying the Prime Minister was not a member of Parliament when the PNG SDF was set up and knew little about the issue.
But your 30% or your 52%, instead of government getting it, I established the STP to compensate for the people of Western Province. In 1999,
Honorable, are you going into debate?
To put these pushy, gluey fingers
you're going into debate?
Into PNG STP money.
Honorable Prime Minister,
like an octopus.
Mr. O'Neill responded, saying the former Prime Minister would have his chance to explain during the Commission of Inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, it's well-run company, declaring over 600 million kina profit for the first time, Mr. Speaker. That's what my fingers can do, Mr. Speaker. So making profits for the people of Papua New Guinea. And Mr. Speaker, I will now be put in a commission of inquiry so he can go and explain himself, Mr. Speaker. He can go and explain to himself. In 1999, Mr. Speaker, I was on the floor of Parliament, so Mr. Speaker.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister told Southfly MP that he will have OCTEDI Managing Director to explain the measures they are taking for waste disposal by the OCTEDI mine.
The Managing Director and the Chairman of OCTEDI to write to the member directly, informing of the actions they have taken so far since taking over the mine on the mitigation issues and managing the waste from the OCTEDI mine so that the member can be satisfied.
Adelaide Sirks Kari, National EMTV News.
NCD Governor Paul Spakop has clarified concerns raised in Parliament regarding major infrastructure development within the city of Port Moresby. He said the National Capital District Commission, while liaising with APEC countries for legacy projects, also communicated with the Shenzhen Municipal Government of China under an existing sister city arrangement. NCDC put forward 10 projects for funding, of which 4 were considered, but only 2 approved for donor funding through China Aid.
I think you covered everything, okay, but
NCD Governor Paul Spakop called a media conference to clarify that funding for the rehabilitation of the Poreporena Freeway and the government boulevards are primarily from China Aid in preparation for APEC.
This project, totaling about 110 million, is basically a Chinese government grant. It's not a loan, there is no string attached, there is no other condition. It's just a gift to the city and to the people of Papua New Guinea.
He explained that there were 4 formal projects proposed that totaled up to 155 million kina. However, only 2 projects were approved for donor funding.
Started down from Champion Parade, now coming towards already on the freeway. And secondly, the construction of the boulevard. There will be boulevard connecting the Wagani Drive all the way straight to the gates of Parliament.
Construction work has already started for the Poreporena Freeway and government boulevards. This is a turnkey arrangement where China Aid appoints the contractor, supervises and pays the cost.
It is being managed jointly with them, but on our part in the Commission, we don't have a lot of input into it other than making sure the scope and are within the standard that we want and to a higher standard. That's the extent that NCDC, as the municipal authority here or government, we have input into this.
The projects are estimated to be completed by October in time for the APEC Leaders Summit. Lilian Sopera-Kenea, National EMTV News.
Madang MP Brian Kramer today held meetings with the acting provincial administrator, provincial police commander and other government departments. The meeting was to brief them on the unrest that had occurred over the last 4 days in Madang. Kramer says they expect that the situation will remain calm with business houses resuming operations. They are now meeting to address the water shortage caused by vandalism to the town's water supply pumps.
And so going forward now, we've made contingency meetings in relation to addressing the water issue. On Thursday, I'll be traveling up to meet with community leaders from the affected areas of those villages that traveled into town and to help assist them in terms of the house cries. With tragically 4 youths from Madang were killed. And then on Thursday, I will be meeting with the community leaders along that entire area in terms of mapping a way forward and addressing their concerns on the settlement issue, street sales, because this is basically how this whole incident targeted. It has nothing to do with what happened in the tragic death of the teacher. This is a build-up over years of Madang people being targeted by thugs on the street sellers, opportunists. And it's the same incident that happened in Leh, and the Leh community of Morabe rised and cleaned the entire streets of these common thieves that are running around on the streets and targeting innocent people that are coming into town to do their shopping. So after today, I will also have a meeting with the PNG Water to establish what issues and how we can assist at the district level, at the provincial government level, to address the water, to get the water back on. It is a critical issue. The hospital has given us a debriefing in terms of scaling down of the operations. All any new intakes have been closed. The gate has been closed. They're only taking emergency. So we're now looking in terms of addressing this issue as an interim arrangement on tracking water to both the hospital and also beyond. We cannot afford to have an institution as important as both the hospital and in terms of correctional services being shut down. So the business today we had.
You're watching National MTV News. We go for a break now, but when we come back, UN agencies warn of increase in waterborne diseases in quake-affected areas and an upcoming Catholic Bishops' Conference to canvass major national development issues. Stay tuned for those and more when we come back. Welcome back to the news. UNICEF and the World Health Organization have warned of the high potential of waterborne and vaccine-preventable disease outbreaks in earthquake-affected areas of the country. UNICEF says major concerns include diarrhea because of poor sanitation and personal hygiene management. UNICEF also urged emergency response authorities to restore basic health services such as immunization in affected earthquake communities. PNG Representative Karen Allen says children will be most affected given the current situation. UNICEF and WHO are also stepping up the effort to improve water and sanitation systems and carry out best hygiene practice in affected areas. Meanwhile, brewing giant SP Brewery has donated 100,000 kina to disaster-affected provinces. Managing Director Stan Joyce says the donation is for relief assistance and restoration efforts. Mr. Joyce and Corporate Affairs Manager John Nilkare presented the donation to Emergency Controller Dr. Bill Hamblin. Dr. Hamblin says relief work will continue despite fresh aftershocks last weekend. He also noted the unfolding issues in the Strickland and Fly River areas of Western Province. A variety of issues affecting the Oceania region will be discussed in Port Moresby by Catholic bishops from the Oceania region. Catholic Cardinal Father John Ribbott says the Church will discuss and find solutions to address some of these issues. Refugees, disaster and seabed mining are some of the topics of discussions.
This would be one of the biggest and highest levels of meeting for the Catholic Church in the Oceania region. Announcing the conference, Cardinal John Ribbott says the Church is focused on improving its level of input as a partner to development.
We will address some very important issues about our regions. And we will have also important people coming to be with us.
Cardinal Ribbott says issues like refugee, climate change and disaster will be the main points of discussion. He says for PNG, many of these issues have been left hanging with no appropriate solutions.
Of course, it is also the state, concern for the state, but we take it up because these people, when they suffer, they go to who? First of all, they come to us. And then we have to receive them and also find ways of how can we help them. That is why it's very important that we take it up also and discuss it on our level as church.
Bishops from Australia, New Zealand and Central Oceania will be attending, including Cardinal Pietro Parolin, an associate close to the Catholic Pope. Care for our common home of Oceania, a sea of possibilities, is the theme of the conference.
As a chairman of this group, for the last 4 years, we are hosting this big, important assembly which takes place once in 4 years.
The Federation of Catholic Bishops Conference will begin tomorrow and end on Tuesday, April 17th. Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
The National Court in Kokopo yesterday dismissed Sir Leo Dion's election petition against his successor, Naki Kuskonga. Justice Colin McKyle called off the case, stating it was incompetent. Sir Leo Dion filed an election petition against Naki Kuskonga and the PNG Electoral Commission, claiming there were errors done during the counting of the East New Britain regional seat. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
Justice Colin McKyle, who presided over the pre-trial hearing, has called off the case, stating it was incompetent. The submissions made by lawyers representing Sir Leo Dion were not sufficient to prove that Naki Kuskonga and the National Electoral Commission were at fault. Sir Leo Dion filed the election petition claiming there were errors and omissions done during the elimination count in October last year during the elections. Sir Leo Dion listed Naki Kuskonga and the PNG Electoral Commission as first and second defendants respectively. But since yesterday, Konga managed to survive the case to remain as the rightful governor-elect for East New Britain Province. Both men completed the race for the East New Britain governor's seat in a relatively close finish, with Naki Kuskonga who unseated Sir Leo Dion. The Dion-Konga case of disputed return is one of the two election petitions filed shortly after the national general election in East New Britain Province. The former Gazelle MP Malakai Tabar and his successor Jalta Wong also went down the same path in January. Malakai Tabar filed an election petition against Jalta Wong over allegations of bribery and errors and omissions. The court, however, found that there were insufficient evidence to prove that the allegations against Mr. Wong were true. The case was dismissed. Meanwhile, Governor Konga said in a short announcement following his victory that he is now finally settled as the rightful governor-elect for East New Britain Province and will now start delivering what he has promised for the province. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
Deputy Prime Minister Charles Abel says investments into the local economy by international companies are crucial if the country is to thrive. Abel was speaking in Leh yesterday after witnessing the opening of an automated processing line for Coca-Cola. The drink company invested more than 30 million kina to upgrade its facility in Leh.
This is the state-of-the-art facility that's been installed in Leh. The 38 million kina investment is part of Coca-Cola's overall modernization of its plants in Port Moresby and Leh. This has now doubled the production output for the country. For the government, it's good news. Deputy Prime Minister Charles Abel says the investment decision fits into the overall government policy.
Saying that there is more to come potentially, upwards of 120 million kina in further investment, including expanding the production facilities in Port Moresby, but also here, a PET line, adding a PET line, which is a plastic bottling line as well.
Coca-Cola's investment in Leh reflects the growing trend of local investment by companies based here. Mainland Holdings is another example of a company that has reaped profits through its reorganization, diversification and local investment. It's now cutting down on feed costs and expanding its operations.
We need to grow a basis for stock feed replacement or stock feed production, which sorghum together with soybean is the basis of. So in the Baia Valley, Markham Valley, and of course we have a location also in Rigo, where we're looking at rice production there.
But the high cost of doing business still remains. Things like fuel, inefficiencies in power and water still place significant burdens on businesses. Scott Wade, National MTV News, Leh.
A project to provide additional power into the Port Moresby energy grid is on track. New Power, a joint venture between Oil Search and Kumul Petroleum, is confident the gas for power project can come online in 2019. Once completed, the New Power facility will provide up to 57 megawatts of additional energy into the capital city's power supply. Today, an update was given on construction of the New Power plant near the PNG LNG facility in Port Moresby. This project, a joint venture between Oil Search and Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited. Once completed, this facility would utilize gas from the PNG LNG plant and provide additional electricity to the Port Moresby grid. Members of the media were today given an update on the progress of construction. Cornelius Tatu, the construction supervisor, provided an update beginning with initial contractor mobilization.
So on site, the first contractor to mobilize on site was Pacific Rim and Lava JV. They did all the earthworks. So moving on from there, we had to do the clearing, start doing the underground fencing for underground services. Basically, holy water, 5 water lines and earthing.
Once completed, the power plant will house 6 engines, which will utilize gas from the nearby PNG LNG plant to generate electricity to go into the Port Moresby grid. These engines expected to be in country by mid this year.
We are preparing the concrete footings for the 6 Wärtsilä engines. So they are due to arrive around in July. But before that, we need to have all our underground works, everything prepared. So by the time, I'm hoping that comes the end of this month, we'll start having containers all piled up. So in total, we are looking at about 160 containers or 10 years. So most of the packets are all containerized. They'll come up here and we'll put them together.
Being the first project to utilize gas for power in this part of the country, the project has taken steps to ensure that the host community benefits from employment opportunities during the construction phase, the commissioning and beyond. And according to officials, given the target commissioning date in 2019, employment numbers will increase over the coming months to meet this target.
We are ramping up guys on the books right now, about 80 or so. But when the construction is full swing, it might go a little bit higher, almost 200. Yeah. But what will happen is that the guys who have started out with the earthworks will start phasing them out and new guys are coming in. And eventually we'll end up with the commissioning.
You're watching Tuesday's News. We'll be back with more of the day's stories after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The Fraud and Complaints Unit of the Lands Department has made 3 arrests involving people accused of land grabbing. The most serious involves a pastor whom police allege used false documents to acquire land and build a church. The pastor was arrested and charged over the weekend. He is expected to appear for mention at the Waigani Committal Court this week. Lands Minister Justin Chichenko said the pastor forged his signature to acquire a piece of land and evicted the people who had been living on that piece of land.
They have now officially arrested a pastor that goes under 3 or 4 different names for illegally forging an original title, a title document for a piece of land that is not his. They forged my signature. It was a very poor job of it. They forged my signature as well as other documents as well for a piece of land that he has no right to have whatsoever. This land has people settling on this land already, plus it's currently gone under the meetings of the PNG Lands Board, so it's currently in process, following the proper procedures. Now, this was before my time, but the situation is this incident has now come to our attention since we've opened the Fraud and Complaints Unit. And what this pastor tried to do was use this fraudulent title, land title, and evict innocent people from the land that they are living on.
Members of the NCD Dog Unit have resumed policing duties in the NCD Command after 4 weeks of suspension. This follows numerous discussions between the NCD Metropolitan Command and the Dog Unit Directorate. The unit was grounded in March after increasing allegations of misconduct and ill behavior was labelled against members of the unit whilst on duty.
The suspension of the entire unit was uplifted on Monday, with members of the NCD Dog Unit resuming normal policing duties in the city.
NCD Metro Command with NCD Dog Unit, they came down. We had a discussion for about 2 hours yesterday. to find a way forward on that one. And to answer your question, yes, I've lifted that ban for the deployment on certain condition. And they have that instruction and they have to follow it because it's very important.
The suspension was a unanimous decision and supported by the police hierarchy. However, it did not affect the involvement of NCD Dog Unit members taking part in the Apex security operation or the normal training of police dogs at Bomana. The Dog Unit is a specialized directorate in the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. It conducts bomb and drug searches, controls crowd, and takes part in major police operations. But the suspension was described as a bold move to restore command and control.
Let me also make it clear that once they were banned from operating in NCD, I received less public complaints on police brutality, stealings, and allegations of stealings and everything. And I thought I made the right decision, but we have to move on. They are now know their responsibility. They report to this command. They don't work outside this command because all units working are under my command.
Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Port Moresby police are investigating 3 murder cases that occurred over the Easter weekend. From the 3, police say one was a break-and-enter case that resulted in the brutal murder of the victim. NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Pero Drano says the incident occurred at Gerhu Stage 3. Police have identified the suspect but are yet to make an arrest. In another incident, a father and daughter were shot at Angau Drive in Moresby North East. The daughter is now recovering from bullet wounds.
It was break-and-enter stealing at Gerhu Stage 3. Stage 3 up the beside Red Hill area. That turned out into willful murder. The husband was stabbed 4 times when he was trying to protect his wife from the assailant that came into the house. I was taken to a Gerhu clinic and pronounced dead then. The other incident came out in the media where the pastor and his daughter were shot at Windsor Motel, which made a headline. We also can identify this suspect, and investigation is going, and we hope to pick them up whenever we catch them.
A senior primary school teacher in the Huon Gulf district of Morbe says the school lacks support from the Education Division, provincial and local level government. The school is facing difficulties because teachers have refused to teach at the school. It is one of the oldest schools in this Morbe LLG that lies southeast of Lae and is accessible only by boat.
The poor quality of teaching and learning has become an issue of concern for this oldest primary school in Suena in the Morbe Patrol Post area of Huon Gulf District. The concerns include the deteriorating infrastructure. A grade 5 teacher and acting head teacher Robert Roy, who has been teaching in the school for almost 8 months, said the school operated without a head teacher since classes began.
I am a senior teacher and I will perform my role and duty as a senior teacher. And I will not act as a headmaster and perform somebody else's job while he's getting paid out there in Lae, doing nothing, moving around in Lae City, and I will be performing his duties here.
Morbe Primary School is a government school established in the 1960s during the colonial days. It has more than 300 students and 9 teachers. These buildings were built by PNG Forest more than 25 years ago. They deteriorated over the years. Roy and his wife Vicky struggles to maintain this building that accommodate them.
Inside all luvestu ya mamras na brugo pinislen mastaka mengwasim na metstratim. Amstratim inside tu ogata wall tu endeti nantapol rooflem tu mogata brugout pinis. Na am not so lugosem outlet master.
The acting head teacher said it has always been a challenge for teachers teaching at Morbe Primary School.
If I want to buy 136 kina 10 kg bag of rice, plus 6 pack noodles, plus 6 pack tin fish, it costs me about 100 kina. For me to go and buy that For me to travel to Ley and come back, it's 200 kina. To buy this 100 kina stuff. To get this 100 kina stuff, I'm going to spend the 200 kina to go and come back. That's for me alone. With my wife, or 400 kina. For us to get only this 100 kina stuff.
Roy said the tuition fee-free funds couldn't sustain the school because of students leaving school and teachers refusing to teach there. He has called on Aya authorities to help bring quality education back to Morbe LLG. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Ley.
Turning overseas now, US President Donald Trump has promised quick, forceful action in response to a deadly suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria. There were strong words at the emergency meeting of the UN Security Council in which Moscow accused the US and its allies of fabricating the allegations.
The drumbeat for military actions growing louder in Washington, with Defence Secretary Jim Mattis preparing in earnest.
I don't rule out anything right now.
The president's gathered his generals, including his new hawkish national security advisor, John Bolton. Bashar al-Assad is in their sights again following the suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria.
It will be met, and it will be met forcefully. And when, I will not say, because I don't like talking about timing.
Russia and Iran are in the president's sights too.
He may, yeah, he may. And if he does, it's going to be very tough. Very tough. He'll pay a price. Everybody's going to pay a price. He will, everybody will.
An emergency meeting was called at the UN to try and negotiate a diplomatic outcome. The language used there, though, would have done nothing to ensure onlookers that this won't spiral into a bigger international conflict. Russia accused the US and its allies of making it all up, warning military action could have grave repercussions.
We call upon Western politicians to scale down their hawkish rhetoric to meaningfully consider possible repercussions to cease the reckless spillover of threats to global security.
The United States is determined to see the monster who dropped chemical weapons on the Syrian people held to account.
It's images like these that prompted Donald Trump to order missile strikes on Syria a year ago. Now the world waits to see what he'll do this time.
And that story takes us to Trukai Sports, which is after these messages. Stay tuned for all the details when we come back.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. NCD Governor Paul Pakop has congratulated athletes who have won medals for PNG in their respective events at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. He also congratulated Hanobada Village, the village where all three medal winners so far come from. Governor Pakop said there will be a grand welcome for the athletes when they return home.
Our commissioners, I'm sure people in the city, we want to extend our congratulations to Stephen Curry, our champion. It's made us proud. Another, great achievement for himself, his family, our village, Hanobada, and of course the city and the country. We're all proud of him, and he's a great champion. He's broken the existing record. Dika, our champion, always champion. Silva is still, very good achievement, great achievement at that level. It's very competitive. All the other countries, want to do their best. And to get silver also for Barua, yeah, very great, achievement, great result for them personally and their families.
At the Commonwealth Games and in boxing, PNG's Darius Katua has now advanced to the quarterfinals at the Games, competing in the 60 kg division. Katua took out his first opponent from Nigeria, Adeola Soyoye, in the first round, scoring 10 points from all 5 judges. He also won his second fight against Solomon Islander Henry Kia in a technical knockout, again taking all 10 points from the judges, qualifying him into the quarterfinals, where he will face Michael McDonough from Wales. That fight will take place tomorrow. To netball, the PNG Peppers received support from Tower Insurance ahead of their Regional World Cup qualifiers. Tower Insurance will be providing insurance cover for the team participating at the qualifiers. The Pepes will be leaving this Friday for Auckland, New Zealand, ahead of the tournament, which starts on the 17th of April and running right through to the 22nd of this month. To football, and following David Chung's resignation as OFC President and FIFA Senior Vice President, he has resigned from his post as PNG FA President as well. This was confirmed today by PNG FA Senior Vice President John Wesley Gondruan.
David Chung resigned due to personal reasons. He has developed many projects since his time as the PNG FA President. Chung developed the National Soccer League competition. Under-19 Youth Development Project was instrumental in acquiring 2 spots for OFC in the FIFA Youth Champions and also bringing the Under-20 Women's World Cup to Papua New Guinea. PNG FA Senior Vice President John Wesley Gondruan thanked Chung for his contribution to football in the country.
So on behalf of PNG FA and on behalf of people of Papua New Guinea, we'd like to thank David Chung for his efforts to bring PNG to the global and to put us in the world map.
The election of a new PNG FA president will be held in 2020. The PNG FA Executive Board will follow statutes of the association and comply with the process in electing a new president.
Having said that, which means that PNG FA will continue its business as normal and continue on to focus on the key activities that it has planned in this year and years to come.
PNG FA has called on suspended member associations to come forward and rectify their differences.
PNG FA therefore encourages the member associations that have strayed from PNG FA and ask them to come back and work and communicate with the Secretariat and rectify and resolve the issues which they currently face, and also to comply with the PNG FA status.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. We'll be back with more after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To rugby union now, and after performing below expectations, the PNG Palais missed their Hong Kong opportunity to qualify for the World Circuit. Now on a break, and the Palais will be back in a week's time to prepare for the World Cup in San Francisco in July.
China to the left of your picture in public.
After winning one of 3 matches at the HSBC 7 series in Hong Kong, ICTSI PNG Palais, who qualified to participate at the World Cup tournament in San Francisco, will get back into training in a week's time. As the ICTSI PNG Palais look forward to the World Cup, their time off will be used to identify injury and a period for recovery. Training and preparations for the Palais will be necessary if they are planning to finish on top in the World Cup tournament. Having identified their strengths and weaknesses in Hong Kong, ICTSI PNG Palais will have to work extra hard to compensate for their loss in Hong Kong come the World Cup in San Francisco.
Shows the angle and shows their class. PNG take the lead.
With the World Cup 2.5 months away, as far as training goes, selections for the World Cup will be made from those players who attend all their training sessions and pass both their medical and fitness tests. The World Cup tournament will take place from July 20th to the 22nd in San Francisco, USA. Meanwhile, the men's rugby team, the PNG Pukpuks, are currently on the Gold Coast attending the Commonwealth Games. The next event will be the World Cup San Francisco and the Oceania Sevens in Fiji at the end of the year. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Australia has continued its domination at the Commonwealth Games. In the cycling event, 2 more gold medals were picked up today, and one of them from a veteran Australian cyclist.
She won gold in the individual women's time trial event for the road racing at Currumbin today, and she was thrilled with the win. She was disappointed after a pretty poor performance at the Rio Games, Rio Olympics a few years ago, so she really wanted to do well at these Commonwealth Games, and she has done herself proud. She won that race ahead of Linda Willemsen from New Zealand, who got the silver. She said she wanted to walk away feeling much more positive than she did from the Rio Games. And she is a local Gold Coast girl, so she knows that track very well. She is a school teacher down here, so she had plenty of support in the crowd, but she didn't want to be distracted by that support. She said she remained focused until the very end and has been able to celebrate. This is what she said a short time after winning the race.
Well, I'm still sort of shaky from the effort. It's still sinking in, and I will definitely celebrate it tonight with my friends and family. I don't know what they have planned. I hope they've planned something. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
And that wraps up True Kai Sports for this evening. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Don't go away.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. We begin in the southern region. Port Moresby, mostly fine with a chance of evening shower or two with a top of 32 degrees. Some showers expected in Daru and Kerma. Afternoon showers for Alota and a few showers in Popondetta. To the Mumasi region, rain expected in Leh and Wa with a top of 32. 32 as well with a shower or two for Wewak and Vanimo. A few showers as well for Madang. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau. A few afternoon showers expected in Keviang and Kimbe, Rabaul, Kokopo and Buka, to expect a shower or two over the next 24 hours. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect fog clearing into a few showers over the next 24 hours with a top temperature of 25 degrees, a low of 12.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Tuesday, the 10th of April 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.